Very good morning to all. On behalf of Center for Spatial Analytics and Advanced GIS, C-SAG, I welcome you all to the inaugural function of International Workshop on Advanced Spatial Analytics and Deep Learning for Geospatial Applications. We all shall begin the inaugural function now. I request all the dignitaries to kindly come over the dais. I request Dr. Mukund Rao, our Chief Executive, to kindly lead Dr. Kasturirangan, Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Dr. Professor S. Sadagopan, and Dr. Adel Bolbol Fernandez to the dais. Dr. K. Kasturirangan, former ISRO chairman and C-SAG International Advisory Board member, is on the stage. We would like to present him a nice bouquet of flowers that signifies our respects and regards. Welcome, sir. Dr. S. Sadagopan, Director, International Institute of Information Technology, Bengaluru, IIIT-B, is with us. We present floral bouquet to him and welcome him with a warmth and regards. Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Director, National Institute of Advanced Studies, NIAS, is with us, and we would like to welcome him with a floral bouquet as a mark of our deep respect to him. I delightfully welcome Dr. Adel Bolbol Fernandez, Global Business Lead, ESRI Medalist, on the dais. He is joined by Dr. Jack Dangermond in this program, who will address us through the video. We present a floral bouquet to Dr. Fernandez and request you to share the fragments with Dr. Jack Dangermond. I heartily welcome Dr. Mukund Rao, Chief Executive, Center for Spatial Analytics and Advanced GIS, on the stage and request him to deliver his welcome and opening address.
Good morning to all of you. Dr. Kasturirangan sir, former chairman of ISRO and I think one of the most respected professional scientists in this country, and who knows about space, remote sensing, Earth observation, GIS, right from its origin in India. So welcome you. Dr. Shailesh Nayak, another great personality who I think was involved in the birth of remote sensing and GIS in India in the late 70s and the early 80s. Now the present director of NIAS and a very illustrious person. Welcome you, Dr. Shailesh Nayak. Professor Sadagopan, Director of International Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Another educationalist, a person with a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and well known in the country and abroad in information technology. Welcome you, sir, to this inaugural function. Adel Fernandez, my very close colleague, who is from ESRI, and he brings with him virtually Dr. Jack Dangermond, who is going to address us through video. So welcome both of you to this function. Dr. P.S. Goel, sir, a respected space scientist and former secretary in the government of India, and very close to C-SAG, and I interact with him a lot. So welcome you to this inaugural function. Professor Ramurthy, I think he's not there today. He's the chair of our workshop advisory committee, and it's a pleasure to sort of have his guidance, and he will join in tomorrow in the workshop. All the distinguished participants, faculty members of the workshop, my very close team from C-SAG, and ladies and gentlemen and invited guests. On behalf of Mr. Ramadurai, Chairman of the NIAS Council of Management, who unfortunately could not be there in the inaugural function, but you will meet him in the valedictory and the closing session of the workshop. And on my own behalf, I welcome you all to this first ever international workshop on spatial analytics and deep learning in GIS. In this beautiful, serene campus of NIAS. So even as you participate in the workshop, do enjoy the environments of NIAS, Indian Institute of Science, and I'm sure you will find this a very enriching experience. Let me start off by giving you a quick view on what C-SAG is and what it came about in this field about 2 years back. NIAS was founded by J.R.D. Tata back in the 1980s, and when he envisaged slim and very nimble organizations for research and activities related to leadership development, to multidisciplinary scientific research and other activities. So NIAS over the years has built up tremendous capability and intellect in this area of multidisciplinary sciences and done some yeoman work, many of which you will find on the NIAS website, and you can interact with some of the NIAS scientists who are going to be here. So they do work in different disciplines, and in the last 8 to 10 years, NIAS also initiated quite a good amount of activities in the field of space technology, Earth observation, GIS, and tremendous research work has been done in the area of GIS policy, GIS standards, national GIS definition activities, unmanned aerial systems, and so on. So that has all gone on in the last 10 years within NIAS. Sometime in 2016, NIAS then director Dr. Baldev Raj, great respects to him. He is no more with us today, but I remember him very fondly. He and Tata Trust started engaging, saying that this is an important area and we must try to build a center of excellence and bring about not only the technological capability building, but it should impact society. So social impact goal also should be built into the concept of the center. Tata Trust was very sort of forward-looking, and they said, why don't we look at agriculture development and livelihood, and why don't we form a proposal for a center? And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation joined Tata Trust, and then they funded this center and established it with the sponsorship that was required within NIAS. So in September 2017, the NIAS Council of Management, which is headed by Mr. Ramadurai, they formally established this center as a separate entity, but basically to look at the technological capability development in spatial analytics and advanced GIS, but also to bring in some societal impact and show the benefits of this technology to society. So this sort of a dual goal was defined for C-SAG, and it started its activity in September 2017. Mr. Ramadurai set up a very high-level international advisory board, which is chaired by respected Dr. Kasturirangan sir, and has very eminent people on this board. Dr. Shailesh Nayak himself is a member of the board. Dr. Goel is a member of the board. Dr. Jack Dangermond from ESI is a member of the board. Rebecca Moore, the key person of Google Earth Engine, she is a member of this advisory board. We have Professor Sadagopan, who is also a member of the advisory board. We have Professor Michael Goodchild from the University of Santa Barbara in California. He is a member of our advisory board. And we have Raman Srinivasan and a few others in the board. So this is a very illustrious board, and they guide us and mentor us on what we should do on the technology side and on the social impact side. And I'm very happy to inform you that today, later on in the day, the advisory board is going to meet in NIAS and try to sort of give out a direction of what C-SAG should do. So over the past 2 years, C-SAG has worked on developing a very innovative agricultural GIS, agri-GIS, which in fact has been spearheaded with the ideation from Dr. Ayyappan, who was a former Director General of ICAR, and Dr. Shankar, who is one of a very eminent agronomist in the country, who gave us this idea that what should be the definition of an agri-GIS. So on that model, we have sort of taken up a pilot project in Odisha, and for 532 villages, covering about 130,000 farmers, we have been giving out agricultural advisories for 2018 and 2019. And these advisories are generated and is based on the foundation of a spatial analytics model. So today we have a very robust model which has been applied 2 years, and we are in the process of applying it for the 3rd year. And we have the knowledge base that is required to handle the data analytics. We also have some knowledge base related to the social impact that it should have made and what it could not do. So there have been mixed results that we have got in the last 2 years, and in the next 10 days you will get to hear about it a lot, and you will also experience working on it in the hands-on sessions that are going to be there. All of you are aware that data plays a very important role today in the world, to each of you. To every citizen in the world, it plays an important role today, not just to the government or to the decision makers in that sense, but to each of you. The global data sphere in the world today is estimated to be about 30 to 35 zettabytes. And each zettabyte is about 1 trillion gigabytes. That is the amount of data that gets generated by all of us through human activities in the world today. And by 2025, this is expected to grow to around 170 to 200 zettabytes. Tremendous data explosion is happening. Most of this data that is generated in the data sphere today has a location tag. So just imagine 170 to 200 zettabytes of data sitting with coordinates in various systems of systems, and that is all going to be analyzed and made available to different types of users. We have estimated that within this 30-35 zettabytes of data, it is just about 2 to 3% that is actually geospatial, meaning the ones that are generated by satellites, unmanned aerial systems, or mapping, cartography, which is the traditional geospatial domain. It's pretty small, and it's getting overwhelmed by these zettabytes and zettabytes of data that are getting geotagged. So, a lot of data analytics and expert groups are working to see what to do with this data, how it can be useful, and what is the way it can help society. In India, GIS started in 1980s, and the two veterans who have worked in this field, Dr. Kasturirangan and Dr. Shailesh Nayak, from day one, can give a little bit more exposure to what really happened and what has been the journey for the last 40 years as far as GIS is concerned. Today, in the field of GIS, it's not just mapping that matters, it is analytics that matters. And all your computer models and data science principles are getting applied in the field of GIS. Spatial data is just one another bit of type of data that is available to the user community. So the principles of R, principles of Python, TensorFlow, or SPSS, and other data fusion technologies are becoming very relevant in the GIS domain. Much of the image analysis, data analytics is founded on the principles of data science today. And big data principles, cloud processing are becoming the fundamentals on which all spatial data is going to develop for the future, and each of us is going to benefit from that. So with the past work that we did in the 2 years, and also this understanding that analytics is going to be the key component, we felt it is time now to share our knowledge and expertise to the wider world. So we felt that it's time for doing this workshop. And then I had a chance discussion with Professor Sadagopan and told him that this is something that we need to do. And he has been envisioning this sort of data analytics concept. He readily agreed and mentioned that his institute will join with C-SAG to do this workshop. So I'm very happy that we have the association of IIIT-B along with us in bringing this workshop to you. And when I talked to colleagues in ESRI, to Jack Dangermond and to TCS, Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, they also said that they would like to be associated with this workshop. So I'm very happy that we have ESRI with us today as an associate, and also TCS, who's there with our associate as an associate today. Very soon, Google joined us and they said they want to be a part of this workshop. We also have IBM Weather Channel, who are part of this workshop. And then we found that we suddenly had 52 participants. And all of you are the reason that we have gathered here today. And I must tell you that the response to this workshop was tremendous. We have 52 of you here today and about 8 or 9 from the United Kingdom who are with us today, and we had to turn back about 20, 30 of them. And we hope that we'll get them back in the next workshop that we will do. So the demand is really there. And I know the demand is there because each of you have paid a fee to attend this workshop. And that is very important for us, and we bring that high value to return back the knowledge that we have and share the knowledge that we can with you. Over the next 10 days, you're going to see some tremendous action. 70 hours of activities in 10 days is broken down to about 37 class and 15 hands-on sessions. You'll be really working on many of the principles and data analytics that we are talking of, using some of the examples of various data sets. The best of experts are there here to sort of interact with you. You will see a wide range of experts from government agencies, industries, international agencies, and many of them. We also have a very good field experience. So not only in the lab, even in the field, how does spatial analytics help? What is spatial data? You'll be able to get an exposure to that. We hope to bring out a very good compendium of all the lectures. We already have many of them. So toward the end of the workshop, maybe we'll have a compendium built up, which we'll want to share with all of you, so as a takeaway of the knowledge that is there in this particular field. We're also going to make a digital multimedia material, hopefully share it with all of you on the online. So with all these activities, we want to support and justify our existence, of C-SAG's existence as a knowledge entity. Because we have a knowledge goal, we also have the social impact goal and the whole thing. And these activities really would fortify that C-SAG is one of those good knowledge institutions in this particular field. I'd like to take the opportunity at the end of my brief remarks to thank, first of all the 52 national and 8 international candidates who are there here. We are here because of you. Thank you very much for coming in. Second, to the faculty, I think it would not have been possible to get this program if those expert faculties had not supported us. And we sort of owe a sense of gratitude to each of them. You will see each of them in the next 10 days. So thank you to all of you. I would also like to thank Mr. Ramodurai and the NIAS Council of Management, and specifically Dr. Shailesh Nayak, for all the motivation in getting this workshop organized and bringing it the way it has come out today. Of course, my deep felt gratitude to Tata Trust and my own gratitude to Mr. Ratan Tata, with whom we discussed about this center about 3 years back, and he readily motivated us to go ahead and work on these ideations. So thank you, Tata Trust, for your support. I also would like to thank Dr. Kasturirangan. He has been the chair of our International Advisory Board. He is my mentor and my guide for many, many years. And without his knowledge and his sharing, I don't think I would be here and we would be doing this sort of a workshop. Thank you very much, sir, for all the support that you've given us in the last 2 years. Dr. Sadagopan, thank you, sir. We were less than empty when we started the workshop. You made the whole glass full by bringing in IIIT-B. So thank you for having associated with us. Dr. Shailesh Nayak has been a very close friend, a guide and a mentor to us. He has supported the C-SAG activities immensely, and I thank him and the NIAS team who sort of provided all the support and other activities for this activity. To my own C-SAG team, I must tell you that they have worked very hard, and you will see them in action in the coming days. They were the wonder people who churned out not only the Agri-GIS advisories. By the way, we continue doing our Agri-GIS activity. Even today, the advisory is out for the farmers, even as the workshop is going on. But they also did not allow any activities to go haywire as far as the workshop is concerned. So thanks, colleagues. It's great to be associated with all of you. I also would like to thank Jack Dangermond, who is again one of my close associates and a mentor. And he readily supported this activity. He sent a beautiful video message, which you will now see. And thanks to ESRI team, ESRI India, for having come in and supported this activity for this workshop. I thank TCS and Mr. Subramaniam, the Chief Operating Officer, with whom I've had a lot of interactions. He has supported this workshop tremendously. You will see some of the TCS things in the workshop and measure up your own knowledge about the depth of what TCS is doing in this particular field. Thanks to Google, I think they are there today with us, the Weather Channel, SkyMap, for all the support that you have, and to everybody, one of you who is there in this workshop today. Lastly, I think I'll be amiss if I don't once again remember Dr. Baldev Raj. He was the director of NIAS who created this idea and sort of dreamt and baptized us for C-SAG. Thank you very much up there, sir. Once again, I welcome all of you to this workshop. And I have only one last word to all the participants. Believe me, you're going to have a gala time as far as spatial analytics and deep learning is concerned. Thank you. Have a wonderful workshop.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful opening remarks. We are always motivated and inspired by your perspectives. Now, I request Professor Sadagopan to deliver his address.
Good morning, dignitaries on the dais, of the dais. So it's a kind of privilege and honor for us, particularly for IIIT-B as an institute and me as an individual, because many of us have been looking at this broad area of GIS for quite some time. And it was interesting that probably for about 40 years, a lot of work had happened. Suddenly in 3 years, a whole bunch of things happened around the world. So many of you would remember the mobile world of 3G is more like 1992 kind of phenomenon. And only by 99 or so, the whole world really saw in a big way. And then that is also people had access and people had nice devices. And 2007, July 21, something unusual happened. And it's interesting how things evolved. Even though Apple and Google have been kind of fighting afterwards, the first Apple iPhone, the application that was most found useful happened to be a Google map. Every iPhone got pre-installed with Google Map. That's the first time people thought that GIS suddenly became useful. And to such an extent today, I actually find some of the school children will see a map on the mobile screen first before they see a map on the walls. We as children kind of got used to the maps on the walls, big maps. Before they see it, they actually see it on this. So something has happened. And then I was just telling Dr. Mukund that, look, you see, it is nice that we have come this far, but we have a long way to go. Okay? And one of the ways in which in my first conversation I told Mukund was that, you all remember there used to be something called email, which was primarily a text-based mail. Okay, and then, badly formatted, and then no correction for spell checks, and then quite often the mails are not linked together, and there is no question of search, a whole bunch of them. But today, you actually find the email which you see. We all used to use a mail called ELM, which some of us built it, okay, University of Washington, okay. So something similar is going to happen. And then he said that, look, should we think that we not, how about doing a conference? So let me tell you my hidden agenda behind this. Dr. Mukund, okay, so I need your ears, okay. So one of my hidden agenda for agreeing to be part of it, of course, I'm not a GIS expert, Mukund, our Uttam is there, Rajagopalan is there. I think also our ESRI friends, we need to have our NIC friends, we need to create a professional body, a professional association, which kind of brings the old cartography and the new GIS together. We don't have one. And I do hope, Mukund, with this conference would be the launch pad of something like that. Okay, so maybe we should start creating, because I do want people to realize that the way in which, we keep talking about data-based decision making. The data-based decision making should actually become reality, okay? So that is one of the reasons why, okay? Let me kind of give a little bit of context. In Sanskrit, there is an interesting 3 words. It is called Kala, Desha, and Vartamana. Loosely translates to a place, a time, and a context, okay? All 3 are important. All 3 coming together is the one which makes things happen. And I think what is happening is the space, time, and the context have come together. Okay, let me elaborate. So I belong to a profession called information systems. Okay, so what we used to do was that, the early stage of computers essentially was an extended calculator. To take an example, people were computing payroll. So you want to be guaranteed that the pay which you get is indeed the pay you ought to get. So accuracy is important, correctness is so important, and as long as it happens, people are happy. But once you kind of got it right, month after month, there is no big deal. So people said, you need to organize this information, so maybe you should not only give me the correct pay, you should also give me a printout so that I can independently check what I'm supposed to get is what I am getting. And then checks out those days, it has to be printed and distributed. And you see, distribution is a pain, right? Because somebody has to go physically and do it. And then people are aware of privacy. So you have to print the pay slip in such a way, when I put it inside the envelope, the name is seen, but nothing else is seen. And then you order it so that people can distribute it departmentally. And then people said, we also have to transfer it to the bank. I'm not talking of electronic transfer, physically. So the bank needs a list so that they can enter. Remember, there used to be thick ledgers on which things were stored, so we kind of order it. So ordering the information, organizing the information became more important, and that trend continues even today. That is one of the reasons why you find that we used to talk about it in late 80s, but I think it has entered the mainstream only in the last few years. Computing was important, but handling data became more important. We used to say computer science becomes data science. We actually started it in the computer center. We used to use the term computer center until 2000. From 2000, we started using the word data center. But computer science becoming a data science is more like a 2010 era. Okay? And what happened was that this was the first stage. Then quickly we said that, look, handling numbers and characters is not important. We should character images, maybe fax images, maybe forms, etc., etc. Then audio, video, medical images, NMR, okay? So all of them. So essentially, information system became multimedia information system. And then one of the stuff which we really wanted to do was this spatial information system. Unfortunately, spatial information system had 2 difficulties. One was historically, cartographers are used to static information, and quite often there was no independent verification possible. Everything was relative. So I put a you remember that at least in our time, every engineer, irrespective of the branch, whether it's computer science or mechanical or civil, we used to do a course on surveying. Okay? So we know that every surveyor gets the information. We try to do some amount of triangulation, etc., but there was no independent way. Something called GPS came, thanks to people like Dr. Kasturirangan. They could put satellites in space, so we could actually get GPS. But GPS was available only in GPS devices. And quite often, you needed a human being to actually read out the GPS. Okay? So things were not available in the form of an API, which we take it for granted today. So what happened was, maps stayed outside of this information, and last few years, maps have become so integrated into this information. Okay? The question is, what do we do next? How do we take it far? Okay? I'll give you an example. I mentioned about the text-based email vis-a-vis today's mail. So very simple stuff. You know, we're sitting in Uber car or Ola car. Okay? He also gets Google Maps, you also get Google Maps. Honestly speaking, it is dumb, because what the driver needs is contextual information. When he is driving, when he is entering a street, he should probably know how wide is the street, how narrow is the street, what kind of stuff, obstructions he has, etc., so that he can focus on driving. You sitting behind, you just want to know how far you are from destination. You don't really care about so much of information. And maybe the driver needs it in Kannada, and you maybe need it in Hindi. Okay? But today, you find that all of us get the same information. Okay? And it is no big deal that we can change it, but it will happen. So like that, there is far more amount of stuff which is going to happen in the next maybe a decade. And one reason why IIIT-B decided to join hand with C-SAG was that we need to be part of this. And from a completely different area, okay, something called AI started. Just as computing started in 60s, AI also started in 60s. Okay, AI is not new, it's quite old. Unfortunately, AI needed phenomenal amount of computing power. Nothing interesting was possible other than some nice papers. So we all said, you know, for some of the youngsters, you should know that officially we had what is called AI spring and AI winter. Okay, AI spring is 50s, AI winter is 60s. Okay. So what happened is things are coming back because there is more computing power. Second thing is there is much more information kind of available. And what was focused was on algorithms, but the algorithms didn't have data. So to give you a kind of funny example, in the early days of IIIT Bangalore, okay, when we put IIIT-B, a Gmail will autocorrect to idiot. I'm not joking, literally true, because that was the closest to IIIT. But now with 23 IIITs around and with thousands of students around, things have changed. In fact, it has become even better, right? The moment you put IIIT, when I put it says IIIT Bangalore, when our friend from IIIT Delhi puts it, when you see 3 I's, it puts IIIT Delhi, right? So things are becoming more and more interesting. Why? Because of data. The fact that hundreds and thousands of people use is the one that makes it possible. And that was missing in the earlier AI. In an academic sense, we call it nature and nurture. You take a plant, you put a seed. The seed has some quality, the seed has some strength, the seed has some characteristics. But as important as the seed is the nurture, the sand, the soil, the nutrient, the kind of sunlight it gets, maybe some of the fertilizer it gets, a whole bunch of them, right? So ultimately, how much the plant grows is a combination of nature vis-a-vis nurture. The same thing about human being, right? If you are born in New York City, you have a set of opportunities. If you are born in sub-Saharan Africa, you have far less opportunities, right? At the same time, if you went to the right education, if you get access to the right opportunities, you kind of, you know, otherwise you see the founder of WhatsApp or founder of Skype, okay? So they didn't have great nature, but they had good nurture. So they actually were in the right ecosystem in the Silicon Valley. So in this context, we say algorithms of AI are the nature. Data is the nurture. So these two coming together make something interesting. So coming back, So geospatial information had a particular way of growth, and now you will see that thanks to the data, much more will happen, and I think thanks to AI, probably in order of magnitude things will happen. The chances are that you will be kind of guided. You see, even today, to a large extent, you have to, take the phone, open the app, open it, keep scrolling, etc., etc. I don't think any of them you actually have to do in the next 5 years. Because all that you do is sit in the car and say, I want to go to NIAS, and then keep doing whatever you want. You listen to Amma Subbulakshmi music, and you will say you are about 50% close, and you are maybe 5 minutes delay. So the system can actually tell you, maybe through a voice. Okay? So those kind of things are possible, and those kind of applications have to happen with due respect, not necessarily from Esri, but in C-SAG. Okay? That is the agenda for us. So, and that is the homework for us. How do we, so each one of them is happening. Spatial analytics is happening, deep learning is happening, but how do I get it to the geospatial applications? Much more interesting is, can it make sense to the farmer? I don't think the farmer has to necessarily have an agricultural degree. The farmer does not have to go through a CS course or AA course. Okay. Similarly, a doctor, I actually keep telling the doctors, lots of doctors in Bangalore, because of Bangalore, they're actually learning a lot of IT and all. I keep telling them, sir or madam, your time must be in saving babies' life. Don't waste time doing IT. Leave it to we guys, we will do it. Okay. I think, so with the doctors, to farmers, to the scientists, and to the dentists, to the very professionals. So how do we make GIS and deep learning available? And that is the charter for us. So next 10 years, and with all of you there, hopefully the place is right because we are in Bangalore, you can't ask for anything better. Okay? And the timing is right because we are in 2020 and a lot more things are available. And hopefully with this context, and I do hope that the traditional cartography people and the GIS and the AI people, all in Bangalore together, will come around and take India to the next stage where we will be the leaders, and to ensure that a much larger population of the public benefits from all these things put together. And that is the real hope. And it is not going to be only the first workshop, so we will keep having it year after year, and we hope that we will evolve together. And look forward to support from all of you. And all of you, you are part of what is called the pioneer batch. You are the very first batch, and hum chodenge nahi, we won't leave you. Okay, year after year, we would want some of you, and not only kind of learn from us, we want to learn from you. So we would like long homework of 1 year. So next year when you come, each one of you present far more interesting application than what you could present today. And thank you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Sadagopan, for your kind address. It was inspiring and thoughtful. We are in a knowledge environment today. Knowledge is represented by light, brightness. And we would like to request the dignitaries to kindly light the lamp symbolizing the spread of knowledge to the campus and the workshop. I request Dr. K. Kasturirangan to deliver the chief guest address.
Good morning. Professor Sadagopan, Dr. Adel Fernandez of Esri. I understand Dr. Dangermond is going to address us on the video, right? And Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Dr. Mukund Rao, Dr. Vishnu Chandra, we have him here, Dr. Goel, and many other distinguished participants of this workshop. Faculty from the C-SAG, IIIT-B and other organizations, NIAS colleagues, guests, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be with all of you at the opening of this 10 days workshop on spatial analytics and deep learning in GIS. I'm happy that C-SAG has taken this initiative of organizing this workshop with IIIT-B to review the present and discuss future development in the field of IRS, our remote sensing and GIS in the country. We had a good introduction to this whole thing, both from Dr. Mukund Rao in his introductory remarks, as well as from Professor Sadagopan with his academic orientation. Today, information is key to the success of a citizen, society, governments, and humanity as a whole. Our government's vision is to bring a new paradigm for governance and development with emphasis on participatory approach for communities and citizens, enable a scientific mapping of the resources, examine needs and aspirations of citizen beneficiaries and society, support sustainable development and spatial planning, assist quick and reliable monitoring of plan implementation and status of development, enable transparent systems for inclusivity of society, and support real-time mapping of feedback and redressal systems. Spatial analytics can play an important role and support many aspects of national economic development and governance process. I think it assumes a double importance in the present context. The Prime Minister has been talking about a 5 trillion economy with its own implications with respect to several facets of national endeavor. The planning of the entire process is going to be dependent on the availability of a large volume of data which is already existing in different forms, different formats, different standards, and so on and so forth. It is here that the initiative, like what the C-SAG is now working with the agriculture part of it, but it's going to expand to other areas, adds significance because you cannot have that kind of an economy driving this country unless we have a system of dealing with data, how do you organize it, and how do you draw conclusions which are scientifically authentic and ultimately put it into the decision making. Geospatial technology has made spectacular advances over the past half a century, since the early 1970s, when the computerization of maps using primitive manual coding and card punching gave rise to store and print maps at will. At the same time, the satellite images from ERTS, at that time the Landsat, it was later designated as, gave details and perspectives of every part of the earth as never before seen. India, stressed with remote sensing, also started around this time as a unique way of building applications by involving user department. On one side, there was this joint experimental projects that ISRO undertook, along with many user agencies in the country. You know, the earlier space program had the emphasis on bringing the users early in the game to make sure that the relevance of the space is never lost sight of. And JEP represents one of the first steps in trying to identify what kind of parameters will have to be built around the satellite sensor systems. And I should recall Dr. Dhawan and his people who really thought about the fact that we should have these joint experimental projects. They worked with several user agencies, whether it is forestry, environment, agriculture, oceanography, and so on and so forth. They evaluated the requirements. On one side, it gave us a tremendous experience in trying to deal with aerial photographs and other types of satellite photographs to deal with resource monitoring and sensing. And on the other side, it also helped us to fix up some very critical parameters. Why today we are able to with confidence launch the satellite and say that this is useful for this purpose or that purpose. The genesis lies with respect to the joint experimental projects where a lot of the homework was done with respect to what kind of parameters will drive the observations of these sensor systems. So this is what it was. Way back in 1980s, we started GIS activities, initiated the concept of Natural Resource Information System. I think it was DST which initiated this part of the Natural Resource Information System, a spatial system demonstrating support for decision-making process through many pilot projects, particularly focusing on natural resources as well as planning and development. Over the years, India has developed successful activities in imaging, series of IRS satellites, aerial platforms. I should say that we have kept a level of a preeminence in the area of satellite technology. I think initially when we built the IRS, we became best, comparable to the best in the world. Then we built the IRS 1C, 1D, we became the best in the world. We have tried to do then microwave remote sensing, which are some of the finest in the world. Then we have the multispectral, hyperspectral systems, oceanographic systems, and later on with cartographic systems and so on and so forth. And today we have gone down to something like 25 centimeters, which is in the civilian domain, you may say at the present juncture, we have the best resolution. So we have maintained that type of a trend with respect to satellite activities. Mapping, topographic and thematic, positioning and surveying and GIS data applications, databases and applications, both in government and commercial domain. GIS technology is widely used and a good knowledge base has been created over the years. I don't have to say this to this very august forum here. In fact, India has been in the forefront at some of the very unique system. I would recall the National Natural Resource Management System, one of the earliest to be institutionalized in the use of remote sensing and GIS. NRIS, I mentioned about it, the Integrated Mission for Sustainable Development. In fact, URO really gave quite a thrust to this area of IMSD as a means of developing at the district level the resources systems and the developmental system. National Spatial Data Information Infrastructure, the National Urban Information System, BUVAN, and more recently the National GIS. These were all unique India-centric systems that would have brought scientific decision making and benefits to governors and citizens in a significant way. While these systems definitions were successful, I see that the systems implementation has not been that successful and we have a lot of catching to do now. In fact, I should say whenever we try to make a paradigm shift in the way we want to work with new technologies, new approaches, new modelings and new dimensions to be brought in, we have institutional problems because we are so tightly separated out in terms of silos of responsibilities that these kind of new developments and the things which needs cross-fertilization of ideas, cross-linking and creating new systems and new thought process, I think it is finding it extremely difficult. In fact, I should say it's amazing that we are able to make a breakthrough with respect to the use of remote sensing by a large community in this country. We are able to use satellite communications and more recently many other areas. In fact, there is a good receptivity with respect to the national education policy. Again, it's a disruptive policy in one sense that you are trying to bring in new ideas, a new way of managing education in this country. And certainly I find that the country seems to be prepared for those kind of changes, even if it is disruptive and even it could probably rattle the existing ordered systems of what you may call conventional approaches to education. So this is no different from that. GIS-based initiatives of the various departments of the government, efforts at modernization of land records, city GIS initiatives of the states, and particularly I should mention about the Karnataka state, how they have brought up the use of the system. I am telling this because Karnataka is one few states which have really institutionalized the remote sensing and GIS system into its many aspects of planning and implementation of the developmental efforts. I should really congratulate Dr. Mukund Rao for this because he single-mindedly pursued this. He brought it to the attention of the Karnataka Knowledge Commission. He made sure that the proposals are properly made with all the departments of the government of Karnataka and tried to get their endorsement. And when it was placed to the Knowledge Commission and it was discussed in the Knowledge Commission, it was one of the finest proposals ever made at the Knowledge Commission. with respect to using a technology and a methodology for improving the systems of management in the resources area, in the governance area, and many other aspects of economic development of the state. I should say today it's a leader because of this particular thing. And quite a lot of credit goes to one individual whom I would like to mention specifically to this audience here. In spite of fairly wide range of GIS as a technology, the full potential of GIS has not been exploited for decision support by planners, I said about this, decision makers and so on. Some of the initiatives have certainly been successful to prove GIS application potential in the project mode. But GIS is yet to get a service orientation and get assimilated to become a part of the wide process of governance, planning and nation building as in a significant manner. There is also a gap in technology development levels. We need to maintain a high level of national capability in this important technology. As I said in 1970s, the birth of GIS was the simple data models and monolithic computer software performing a wide range of functions. In some sense, Dr. Sadagopan alluded to this in his talk, that included capture, storage and analysis of spatial data. Over the subsequent decades, over the 1990s, the set of software functions in GIS proliferated, as did the underlying data models became complex in the interest of supporting new data, new applications, and becoming decision-oriented on mainframes to mini computers and ultimately to the desktop and now to the handheld devices. In the 1990s, two very significant changes in this vision for GIS set the goals for spatial data infrastructures. Large volumes of maps, images and spatial data had become digitized by the time, and then the global coverage of satellite images were available digitally, and the satellite-based global positioning system was greatly reduced the cost of measuring location and location mapping. I should mention that the global positioning system, we envisage that with the kind of data that we are producing in remote sensing, the strategic importance that we have with respect to position location is extremely important, that India as a leading spacefaring nation should have the component of position fixing capability using space system. We went through several studies. It was not sufficient that we only use the GPS, certainly the one which has given us valuable experience in the use of global positioning data. We created initially integrating GIS capabilities with our own systems on the ground, and then we went ahead with a regional system, and currently a regional system is fully operational, capable of providing several types of services in the global positioning. And I am sure that ISRO will take the next important initiative of creating a global positioning system which will cover the entire globe with respect to location positioning. Another development was that of a large number of research has been generated in large workforce and industries. This is very significant. Apart from the government and academia were engaged in the GIS ecosystem across the world. The need to share the GIS spatial data across user communities triggered the vision of a national spatial data infrastructure. World over, large initiatives were taken up on the various nations in organizing the spatial data infrastructure and national GIS system. India too embarked on a vision to organize the NSDI in 2002 to bring a collective effort in aligning the geospatial community and the various demonstrations of the national spatial data infrastructure was taken. The birth of the WWW and the Internet in the 1990s boosted the sharing vision, and he also eased the technology that were required for sharing the spatial data and in generating and storing them on the web. The commercial aspects of spatial data became a possibility, and the world saw many a G marketplace emerge for commercial spatial data availability. By the time of 2000s, the SDI vision has been overwhelmed by the GIS on the web and now GIS on the cloud. Very quickly, the world saw Google Earth, Digital Earth initiatives take a great boost and was available to every citizen. In the 2000s, we see another major change, giving a twist to the SDI vision, to the vision of a GIS system of system. Creating spatial data, maps, images, which hitherto were time consuming and costly, suddenly transformed to one of rapid processes, and also cost effective. Thus, various technologies and sensors captured location and vast amounts of data got collected very easily across the earth. Data collection soon became made a citizen, a sensor through always connected device, the mobile phone. So today it's easy to create maps of phenomena such as a road congestion that are valid only for a few minutes and available free to the user through mapping applications on a mobile service. Sensors in the environment are now able to create an abundance of time-dependent geospatial data, making time an important element of today's vision of geospatial technology. Similarly, contemporary technologies such as GPS, BAM, Building Information Management, Structure from Motion, Platform-Mounted LiDAR, and Ground-Penetrating radar have made it possible to acquire three-dimensional representations of geographic features. Today, the basic element of spatial data is no more XY, but XYZTA, where X, Y to A define the traditional coordinate and Z the height or the depth reference in a three-dimensional space. T is the time and A is an attribute of the location in space-time. So you can see the number of dimensions in which it has grown today. Today, this is how the spatial data is characterized, giving rise to the next division of GIS, Big Data GIS, what I call as GIS System of Systems. I must tell you, all of you, that the first concept of a GIS System of System was defined in India, the National GIS, which was a comprehensive definition of India's leadership in the global arena of GIS. I should particularly recall, in conceptualizing this entire effort and giving it a national exposure of what its potentialities are there, were done with both Dr. Shailesh Nayak and Dr. Mukund Rao, who brought this concept of the national GIS. We had several meetings with several of the stakeholders in the country in trying to do. I was in the planning commission at that time, and I should say it was a remarkable set of responses that we got from many agencies in the government. And I should also say that many private people interested in getting into this area also showed tremendous input. In fact, they came out with a document. In fact, I should say it's a timeless document because it really identifies several methods and futures for this kind of an activity, which has been put into it with a lot of care, with analysis, and with candid assessment with the best of the experts in the country. The ultimate, the final culmination of this entire effort was spread over, I think, more than a year between President Nayak, yourself, and the committee that was constituted for this purpose, was the fact that there was a special national meet with all the government secretaries coming in, many of the other users coming in, and we had the thing being chaired by both Dr. Montek Singh Aluwalia and Dr. Sam Petroda as a part of the planning commission at that particular point in time. And they fully endorsed at the national level that this should be a system of systems which we should take forward. And certainly there are elements of this which is finding its place in different states of the country, so the effort has been very useful. But I think the next step of integrating it into a national system, whether it is necessary or whether it can be kept as an option, is a matter that will be debated in this country later. But I should say it was one of the key seminal idea in the recent times with respect to creating a GIS system of systems in the country and probably giving a direction. I do know that even the type of interest that the government showed at that time was such that when Jack Dangermond visited India, then I had an audience with the Prime Minister where he also came along, and we both made Jack presented this entire thing to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and he said, who is going to do this in India? He asked the question. I said, you are going to do it, you better take that responsibility, he said. So that is the type of confidence they had in trying to take it up in the context of the governmental system that we have. I should also say that we also address the questions of education and research. We thought that at some time we have to be at the cutting edge with respect to all these areas. There are several aspects of technologies and techniques that we need to develop. There has to be research programs and so on. I am happy to say that the present Secretary for the Education, Dr. Amit Khare, put a lot of effort in trying to come out with a national strategy for GIS education and research, and even recommended to the government at that particular point of what kind of elements of education and what levels this education has to be given, but also the type of institution that should be involved with it, and even suggesting areas of creating centers of excellence in this area. So I think India has given considerable thought to this entire concept, and what we are trying to see with respect to the C-SAG is certainly a major offshoot of those kind of concepts which are all underlying, which are foundational, but which need to be taken forward. I am extremely happy that this effort from the C-SAG is certainly a right direction in which this is going to grow in the coming years. Today, geospatial technology extends into virtually all areas of human activity, helping to solve problems and making decisions, predict outcomes, and discover and explain how the Earth's environmental and social systems work, and is reaching each and every citizen on the Earth. The fusing of spatial data with other data allows its users to get insights by using maps, images, and statistics to reveal what would otherwise not be visible, appreciated, understood, and experienced by one and all. The government experienced by one and all. Individual citizens encounter GIS in mapping and wayfinding applications. I mentioned about it, the applications that provide information that is customized to user's location. Just like a human nervous system collects signals from many parts of the body, and this is a very nice way to look at it, and transmit them to the brain, where they can be processed and combined, leading eventually to actions. We now have a spatial nervous system on the Earth, characterizing how the planet is sensed, how the resulting data are transmitted, and to whom and how the various signals are conflated and stored, and how the costs of this are met. These are some of the very interesting aspects of this, the future of spatial data analytics based on principles of data science, artificial intelligence, and deep learning. Spatial data is voluminously available for human activity triggered by the big data and cloud technology. Data analytics is key to obtain insights, and what I see for the future is that the spatial insights will drive the vision for all of us in using more and more spatial data. What is the situation? We have an institution here, a very well-structured and thought-out institution in this Bengaluru, IIIT-B, under Dr. Sadagopan. The Karnataka Knowledge Commission, in fact, looked into the questions of how do you bring in the data analytics and things like that as an educational component in Karnataka. And Dr. Sadagopan and the Indian Institute of Science, they came forward with respect to some very interesting suggestions, and we have now a center which is going to work on data analytics, big data analytics, as well as artificial intelligence in IIIT-B. And so that is one of the very visionary steps that the government has taken, and is also fully recognized and supported by Dr. Sadagopan's institute. Data science is emerging as a major element of knowledge and profession, and is a core to make use of the vast collections of data system. I am not only telling it with respect to what you have done in the C-SAG, even as an astronomer I should say, volumes of data are coming out. For the first time you have started using the artificial intelligence to look at the features of the cosmology, the developments in the universe. And I think it's going to be a breakthrough when it comes to an artificial intelligence married to the huge amount of data that the various satellites are turning out, and also the ground systems are turning out. So that's the kind of expanse right from the ground level agriculture to the furthest points in the cosmos. This AI is going to spread itself, its tentacle, and make the human beings look at things at awe and wonder, something which never for generations it has been possible for them to do. I would like to conclude. There is quite a lot of things I would like to say, but then this is the morning and you have to stop it. Data engineering is becoming a very important paradigm. On one side, to preparing vast data, that it becomes amenable to the analysis process easily and repeatedly. Outputs would be as simple as making statements. We saw that part of it. Spatial analysis will drive the big data and GIS and make it easily available to deep learning processes, where the vast data itself will provide triggers to further analysis. That's what Dr. Mukund Rao mentioned in his opening remarks. For example, the vast collections of IRS satellite imageries can itself provide the spectral signature and libraries to automatically classify and segment the newer images and detect changes over the time. This autonomous classification algorithm can be easily derived from the existing images that are available from 1987 onwards. Similarly, the census data collection from 1950 onwards can itself provide predictive logic and models of how Indian demography can trend for the next 10, 20, or 50 years, thereby learning trend algorithms from the census data holdings. Or say daily traffic data in a city can itself provide autonomous load indicators across every hour in a city and model traffic loads on a daily basis. There can be numerous examples by which large GIS data collections can be the self-learning crucibles and be answers to questions that various problems that emerge in the society. In fact, GIS databases are naturally characterized for deep learnings and artificial intelligence models because they are a structured, referenced collection of time-stamped pixels, vectors, rasters, data points, making them so easy for DI and AI models. Spatial analytics is extremely important, and India needs to build its capabilities. I don't have to remind this. I can only say with respect to when we were 3 years back trying to look at a little bit of academic things. I'm coming back to academics because ultimately the key to the success is a large kind of manforce, that human resource that we need to build up. One thing nice about the Indians is that they are good in statistics and mathematics. And statistics and mathematics is central to many aspects of deep learning and artificial intelligence. And whatever backroom role that we had with respect to Y2K and other earlier history, if you really translate that into how art can play an effective role in this emerging area, I think there is tremendous possibility in this country because of the fact that the India's or the youngsters' intrinsic attraction to learn mathematics and statistics, not being afraid of it as a subject. So I think this marriage of the intrinsic culture and the interest of the younger minds to learn mathematics and statistics without being averse to it, and then marrying it to areas like artificial intelligence, deep learning and things of that kind could be a crucial step, and that is where Dr. Sadagopan's vision certainly is going to translate itself into tangible actions in the context of this. I'm happy that in this model of C-SAG, but coming back to C-SAG, I would like to say is a new experiment. One, how in-depth knowledge of spatial analytics can be built, developed, and two, how to link the knowledge to the society. Combinedly, show transformative actions to people and society. C-SAG is an important middleware between the technology and the society, based on deep understanding of both. I am happy that in this model, C-SAG is deep into spatial analytics for farmers' advisories and is generating agri-CSS advisories in Odisha, customized advisory for each plot or farmer in real time. This is a complex spatial analytics in action, focused to a social goal of providing farmers with easy to understand advisory 5 times in a cropping season. Thus, on one hand, C-SAG builds and utilizes the advanced big data, GIS and data analytics, but then farmers are immune to the technology aspects. On the other hand, farmers get 5 easy to understand crop advisories at his plot level, which has aggregated so many complex data analytics process. I am happy to note that in just 2 years, C-SAG has not only taken up agri-GIS for 1.3 lakh farmers in South Odisha, but now have brought this important workshop, knowledge initiative, to the fore, involving so many of you, thereby creating a network of almost 100 to 200 people in spatial analytics and GIS deep learning. It's a very good example of technology social interaction connections. Hopefully, C-SAG will demonstrate the mechanisms for this successfully in other fields too. This is extremely important. I am sure that the participants will benefit from this workshop. I see that the wide range of institutions are participating. I am also informed that each of you participants have paid a substantial fee to come here. That shows the importance of this particular workshop and the insight that you can derive from this kind of discussion that you're going to have here for the next 10 days. I'm also happy to see that the program that some of the best faculty and experts from India and abroad are coming as teachers, and there will be tremendous knowledge sharing, which is so important. Focus is on mix of class and hands-on session. Participants will get to work on some advanced technology and applications. Thus, when they go back, they can design solutions to their work problems using this knowledge. I am informed that a field session is also planned, and exposure to digital analytics issues are so important. I am happy that this workshop has participation from many of the leading industries and private sector. That yet another good development because of GIS systems are now being driven more and more by industries, and this platform, the government, industry, academia, triad, which you often talk in every segment of scientific activity, in this case will go a long way in building capacity and capability in the country in this technology area. I look forward to the compendium of talks of the workshop, which will be the culmination of the knowledge value. Hopefully C-SAG would get it published in a good book on a spatial data analytics and deep learning. I wish all the participants a very successful workshop in this serene campus of NIAS, which Dr. Shailesh Nayak has given us today. Thanks, C-SAG, for giving me this opportunity to be with you all today. I congratulate the young team. I would like to particularly single out Dr. Mukund Rao. I think he's a single live wire in driving many of these activities. He has tremendous confidence in himself and a courage of conviction that drags. You have seen him for many years, working under difficult circumstances. And in this country, you have to, if there is no challenge if you don't work in difficult circumstances. So this is one area where I should say in the work that he has taken up in ISRO and also beyond, he has put in a lot of effort, besides being courage of conviction and things like that, he has an excellent task of technology and also a good leadership quality, which takes him to look at his systems beyond individual capabilities and individual ideas. I am sure this is one more feather in his cap, and I wish him the very best along with the success for this workshop, which is a very visionary step in the context of GIS spatial data analytics and its future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, respected Dr. Kasturirangan sir. You have conveyed the spirit to this workshop so lucidly and so clearly, bringing out the importance and relevance of spatial analytics. Your words of wisdom lays the founding strength for the workshop and kicks off in the right direction and spirit. Thank you very much, sir. Now, before I request Dr. Fernandez to deliver his remarks, we have a video message from Dr. Jack Dangermond, President of Esri Inc., and we would like to play his message sent specially for this inaugural function. After the video message, Dr. Fernandez may deliver his brief remarks. Let us have the AV, please.
Hello, my name is Jack Dangermond. I manage Esri here in California, and I wish I could be there with you on this very momentous and important meeting. This meeting will launch the vision of Dr. Kasturirangan and Dr. Rao, who have been thinking about this actually for decades. The idea of building an integrated information system that integrates remote sensing and geographic information systems with farmers, agriculture in general. Now, this concept actually has been around for almost 5 decades. The birthing of GIS in the 60s and in the 70s, and its practical application in the 80s, 90s, and continuing on today, had as its basic roots the idea that geographic information could be put into a computer, digitized, a kind of digital geography, and then leveraged for different kinds of applications by multiple organizations. This has been steadily advancing. We've gotten better computing, better algorithms, better science to be able to do this, and a whole plethora of applications has come into being. Likewise, remote sensing, birthed from satellites over 40 years ago, has become increasingly higher resolution, and with more frequent observational data is driving into GIS fresh information about our geography, so that the vision of GIS, one storage place with many applications, has been blossoming into a near real-time kind of system. At the same time, computing has advanced. We have moved from mainframes 50 years ago to cloud systems and mobile devices connected to them today. Bringing these three things together, these three emerging technologies, with a whole bunch of other related technologies and applications, is in many ways what this research, the research you'll be discussing, is all about. It's the idea of practically supporting with devices and related information products the mission and the hard work of farmers in the field on small and large plots of land in making their day-to-day decisions, what to plant, where to plant, informing the farmers with information which is the latest high-tech technology, enriched by things like machine learning and AI, enriched by the volumes of knowledge that are now being amassed on the planet. And we need to do this. The challenges that we are facing with climate change, lack of natural resources like water, particularly in India, these are big challenges, and they will confront the people who do farming, build the agricultural products in multiple ways. The vision of Dr. Kasturirangan was that remote sensing would transform India. And by bringing these things together, first in this academic setting, through the wonderful sponsorship of Tata Trust, we are seeing for the first time the reach from measurement, through analytics, through visualization, through all the way down to making decisions in the field. Now there's some rough points, and all of these technologies have had rough patches in their evolution. In this case, as we will hear from the experts, the rough patches are dealing with human aspects as well as the technology aspects. How can we implement successfully this high quality and sophisticated technology into the hearts and minds of farmers, people who have for centuries farmed pieces of land and know what they're doing based on their knowledge of the land and of crops? How can we modernize them? How can we enculturate them with this new way of thinking and a new way of doing? And this will be interesting to hear about the thoughts that's going to be held in this particular meeting, the research so far. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is an important meeting. As I was saying, I really wish I could be there to support and learn from you and the work that you are doing. I want to challenge all of you because this is a work in process. We need to understand better the information products and their value in the farmers' minds. We need to understand how best to create this nervous system of geography, not just in the pilot areas, but then I imagine very quickly when this begins to show promise to real farmers, it's going to expand to states. We'll do whole states at a time and wire them up so that virtually everything that happens in the agricultural sphere will be measured and analyzed. We'll use all the great new AI and machine learning and deep learning tools to be able to make predictions and help farmers. It'll then expand to the whole country. Esri is very proud to participate with C-SAG in providing fundamental technology. We are advancing our tools with some of our earth science people and some of our technology and engineering people. We are also pleased to help pioneer this kind of a nervous system that I think will emerge as a pattern. This system is open, it's interoperable. It invites the participation from lots of related sensors and technologies of many types. And I know many of you are from around the world. It'll also, I think, impact the world. It'll transform agriculture in not only developing countries, but also developed countries. Linking these things together, from measurement through analytics to decision-making to action, is building the nervous system in a microcosm for one application for the planet. These next few days, make new friends. I'm jealous that I'm not there make new friends, make new connections, share what you're doing and learn from each other. Because this grand vision of having a cloud open system that can serve content of many types and support many applications to create a better and more prosperous future, a more sustainable future, is at hand. So thank you once again. I really want to acknowledge you for making the effort to be here and participate in this very important effort. Thank you.
A couple of things here, and kind of triggers the question for me. Why are we so excited about machine learning and artificial intelligence? The idea here is that we are very focused on simulating humans. We're trying to automate everything. We're trying to make everything very super intelligent. And the idea is that we want to just replicate ourselves into machines. Apart from the sci-fi movies, what we're trying to do essentially is get more efficient at living our lives. This notion kind of very much is what, again, Jack spoke about a little bit, which is the intelligent nervous system. And it's pretty much how, as a technology company, you kind of try to approach it. So as scientists, you try to approach problems, try to solve problems, put processes to approach them. Whereas as a technology company, we want to provide these platforms to enable scientists like yourself get into these platforms easily, find the data easily, share data easily in order to decide and provide the right information for decision makers to take decisions in the right time. So it's pretty much coming on to the three different stages. So the sensing stage, to the cognition part of things, understanding what we are sensing, what we're listening to, what we are seeing and observing with our eyes, and the cognition phase, ingesting that, and the decision-making phase, which is responding to specific situations. Now, in the past, how we design software is that, I don't know if you're familiar with, again, platforms such as ArcMap in the past, a desktop application, small on your machine at home or at your small office in your desk. And that's how we worked in the past. We were working in silos. Today, we've kind of expanded that footprint to kind of involve more people rather than not just focusing on redundancy of data, trying to make everything accessible. It's trying to get a lot of different actors to participate and interact with one another. The main aim of this is not just generating more research, but it is generating multidisciplinary research. Sorry. So in the past, we used to focus very much on building GIS systems, where other groups used to work on remote sensing and other types of sciences. Others used to work on land surveying and collecting data, going with the differential GPSs and total stations and so forth to the field, collecting this data, mapping it, creating 3D models out of it. Today, these all sciences, all of them are merging into one big umbrella, and we refer to it today as data science, GIS, geospatial informatics, or geoinformatics. We've merged a lot of that into sort of a very homogeneous part of the science, and that's very much because technology today dictates that we very much work with each other. Today we can find a solution to a transport problem from weather sensors, from census data, from sensing, from police data, from other authorities. All that could solve a transportation problem, and nature of science has changed very much to that. So very much what we're doing today is, rather than focusing on ArcMap on one machine, is establishing all these kind of different tools, these server-based solutions that kind of sit in specific organizations, and every organization collaborates with others in order to generate more useful information to inform decision makers better in the government level. Now, what we do here is that we work very much on, we're working with governments around the world. We've worked, for example, we had big agreements with our governments, such as the state of California, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, both governments, with Oman, with South Africa, with Colombia. So with these governments, we kind of tend to have a big agreement, and we try to get, we are very much evangelizing the science of GIS through getting different organizations to work with each other. Very much like different departments in any university, you get all the kind of school of thoughts, and you get all the different arguments of, well, you know, this is the best method to do things. Well, we see it from this kind of viewpoint. Other schools of thought think about it differently. Organizations, government organizations on the bigger level work in the same way. They have their own schools of thought, they have their own processes, they have their own people, they have their own technologies. Now, our main aim for the past almost 20 years now, evolving from a 50 years history of making software, our past 20 years was focused on getting all these organizations to work with each other. We work a lot with the Open Geospatial Consortium, the OGC, for instance, to standardize the way we exchange information, the way we kind of serve this information, congregate this information, harmonize it with each other in order to serve aviation, the aviation industry, the national security industry, the land and administration industries, and so forth. And this is our prime focus because our job as a software organization is not just providing you with the tools or the packaged functions within a Python library or R or other languages in order to kind of solve small problems. It's a matter of bringing everyone to the same table in order for you to create more research, more informed research than how we used to do it in the past. Now, the idea again of sensing to cognition to responding is sort of what Jack was hinting to, which is pretty much focused on, again, how do we collect data from IoT sensors, from, again, drones, from satellites, from, that's not just that. And today you collect from phones, from, again, social media, from working with telco operators on finding their core data records or CDR data, which is where people are moving around a city, collecting that data, integrating that with other things such as the behavior, the internet activity, again, the demographics, understanding the pulse of the city, pulse of the country, and pulse of the planet. In that respect, we very much hear or listen, simulate the ear, the eyes, the nose, all the senses that humans have, and we kind of go to the core, our bread and butter, what we used to do in the past, which is all the kind of GIS functionalities or all the cognition analysis that we work on. And so listening to all of that from, again, transportation sensors, from agricultural sensors and precision agriculture, to policing sensors, to, you know, reporting crimes, reporting accidents, and so forth. All this information that's out there within a city is collected into a geospatial format. Everything happens somewhere. So we collect that using location. What we enable afterwards our users, our organizations to work with is very much making sense out of this data, creating templates for how to solve certain problems. We work a lot with the UN SDGs, with the UN on achieving SDGs and monitoring SDGs within countries. And what we do in that context is we focus very much on achieving these 20 goals, focusing very much on how to monitoring them as well. So sensing, listening to all this information, trying to find things like no poverty, water for everyone, and all the different goals that we have of sustainable development goals. And from that, just collecting that information, aggregating it, and creating reports, certain live reports out of that to achieve these KPIs or to measure these KPIs, is very much achieving the whole nervous system that Jack was hinting to. It's very much listening or hearing and so on, and interpreting this information into a decision and taking an action, ordering my arms to go and do something, carry a hot pot from the stove, and so forth. So it's very much kind of influencing what we decide, what we do, our future. Now, we enable very much, or we try to enable, we strive again to enable the notion of smart cities again, and that's not just a city that is has everything, all the technologies in the world. It's a bit more than that. You don't need to have many sensors, a huge infrastructure in order to get a city to be smart. It's more of managing the information you've got, trying to measure where you are exactly, trying to enhance these KPIs constantly. We've developed products, obviously internally, to kind of enable governments to achieve that easily, easier, and monitor their KPIs easier. The idea here is that we always, from our experience, we always face three different challenges, three main challenges. One of them is the people, second is technology, and third is the processes. People are hardwired sometimes to do things in certain ways, and that's one of our missions now. This is what we are good at in this room, which is basically creating new things, creating new sciences. We're very open to new possibilities, new ways of doing things, and changing the mindset of people in organizations or in governmental organizations, to be specific, is a bit more challenging than us as scientists. As researchers, we are very much, we can achieve the same goal in 2 million different ways, and we know that. We know that it's not difficult to find a solution to a problem. It's just the way you go about it. Government and organizations, because they have certain mindsets, they sometimes have certain processes, which is to ensure that there is efficiency in the workflow. The problem is sometimes people get too hardwired to solve problems in a specific way, and they don't change the mindset in that respect. And this is one of the big challenges that our jobs as researchers is to influence decision makers. When we go into these organizations, we need to change the mindset and kind of introduce not just new technologies, but new ways of approaching the same problems. And the second part is the technology, which is, again, organizations such, not just Esri, again, all the technology organizations in the world, IBM, Google, all others. All our jobs is to make this more of a platform for people to collaborate on. If I create a desktop application, going back to that 20 years ago, and that's just that, working in a silo, it doesn't really help an organization come together and learn from each other and solve problems faster. Now, the third part, which is the third challenge, is the processes. So in order to kind of change the mindset of these organizations, we always have the problem of processes. As researchers, sometimes we have certain processes that we kind of follow through in order to achieve specific goals. Research process of go and reading, the body of research and see how did different people solve that. Go about it, research it, find different mechanisms to collaborate with other schools of thought in order to kind of achieve certain goals. Now the problem is with these organizations, again, the processes sometimes are very rigid. Then they don't change because any small change in their eyes or in their heads would mean that we're losing money, losing time, we're not achieving, again, our goals or our KPIs. Now this is something that we usually try to make easier for organizations. We try to change that. If you've heard of the very famous notion of digital transformation, this is very much how we're trying to change these organizations, changing them not just from papers to machines, but changing them from processes that are very long-tailed to very short and easy, concise processes. Now, if my technology of how cool deep learning is, how cool all different algorithms that we work with is, it doesn't mean that it's essential for our planet to be sustainable and for our city to function better. So we need to think as researchers from my humble viewpoint, is we have to think about these three in parallel. We need, while conducting research, we're not just thinking about the technology, we're not just thinking about advancing the technology, we're thinking about these three in tandem. We're thinking how could that gradually go into organizations, how could people pick that up and shift their mindset bit by bit, not sudden, how to enhance the processes, how to make it a bit more efficient, things about efficiency. Cool is good, but efficient is even better. Thanks again, Dr. Mukund, for inviting us. And I mean, this sounds like a great lineup from what's in the agenda. So thank you.
We should thank Dr. Jack Dangermond for his very inspiring message on how spatial analytics with a social purpose is so important all over the world, something that we have closely experienced in C-SAG. I also thank Dr. Fernandez for his thoughtful remarks. Dr. Shailesh Nayak is an expert in remote sensing and GIS by himself and has led many international activities in the Earth science, and he always guides and motivates us in C-SAG. I request him to deliver his address.
Dr. Rangan, Professor Sadagopan, Mukund, Dr. Andrews, very distinguished colleagues, and my dear participants. First of all, I would like to compliment C-SAG and IIIT-B for organizing this course and all of you to come from all the way to participate this, and the faculty who have also taken a lot of trouble to come and make the very lively, hopefully lively interaction with the participants. The Professor Sadagopan made very important point about map, and I would like to start from the map. The first map sometime came around 26,000 years ago, and it is found in one of the caves in Czechoslovakia. And they have tried to depict the hills, the trees, the rivers, streams, a very simple map. But if you think what they were trying to indicate is essentially their relationship with the various physical objects, how the mountains affect them, how the rivers affect them. And that is how I think this field has started. We have come a long way, but I think the relationship between the objects or a phenomena or a population or any other field, we are trying always to find some relationship which we can use to make certain decisions, and that decisions are communicated to the concerned person. This process for several years, we improved the maps, were used essentially to explore the world, and many new areas, new resources came because of the maps. But in 60s, things dramatically changed, and that is because of the era of the satellite. The first time we could see the entire globe in an image. In 1960, the first satellite, which is of course the weather satellite, and we tried to realize that what we were relating ourselves to the local areas is not enough. There are processes which is a global processes. What happens, today we know that what happens in India can affect Australia. One of the reasons of the fires in Australia is very good monsoon in India and practically no rain in Australia. So we tried to learn the various processes because of this availability of the information, and today this information we are trying to use more for what Jack mentioned about climate change, sustainable development, and these kind of issues which are very critical. Now today we are with the problem that we have all the kind of technology, a lot of computing power, but that is again not solving our problems. The reason for this is we also need to recognize the social processes which are associated with the knowledge about the earth as a whole system which we have. And that is where I think we need a lot of research which is required to understand the social processes as well as the human behavior, how it affects our decision making. And that is where the different technology which we have about the observation of the measurements, could be satellite to any other in situ measurement, or the technology for the computing or GIS or anything. The problem which we are facing today is the information which exists about the Earth system and the information which we have about the social aspects or human aspects are not in the same format. And when you want to integrate this, what is now, even in climate change, we have been trying to find the pathways which is based on the social science. And I think that is the challenge which we have to integrate our knowledge with the social science. Then probably we would have the decision making and the action which we need. And I'm sure that many of the lectures which you see will allow us to say that how we would be able to find these pathways. And I'm sure that you all will enjoy this, and I welcome you all to the NIAS campus, and I'm sure that we would be able to continue our interaction for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shailesh Nayak, sir. Your address brings out quite a number of good points that needs address, and hopefully in this workshop we'll discuss many of them. Thank you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks in the midst of these dignitaries and all of you attending the workshop today. On behalf of C-SAG, IIIT-B and NIAS and each of you, we would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. K. Kasturirangan, for his leadership, vision and contribution to this country. It is always a pleasure to interact with you, sir, and learn so many aspects of technology, humanity, nationality and perspectives of system in general. You inspire the country as a whole, and because of your close interactions, make our journey in C-SAG quite smooth, motivating and pleasant and satisfying. It is a privilege for us to walk the earth behind you, sir. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. We would be grateful to our beloved Chief Executive, Dr. Mukund Rao, who is force of inspiration and utmost guidance for us. His knowledge, leadership, and hard work is beyond par, and we have seen it in action with the C-SAG and worthy of emulation. Thank you, sir, for being there always and involved in design, implementation, and monitoring the workshop activities so effectively that we never felt that realized the arduous task of workshop that becomes so easy. We offer sincere thanks to Dr. Sadagopan, Director IIIT-B, for being a sagely advisor and a backbone of the support for C-SAG for this program, and always having positive response towards the workshop concept. I also would like to thank the professors of IIIT-B, especially Professor Uttam Kumar, who was source of solid strength in organizational activities. The faculties of IIIT-B have taken the bulwark of deep learning program in workshop, and we thank them for the same. We also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Shailesh Nayak for guiding us and providing excellent and continued support. Dr. Nayak will be delivering an exceedingly expert talk at the workshop, and we would look forward to hear from you, sir. Thank you for being with us today, sir. The support of NIAS team, led by Mr. Srinivas Aitar, has been phenomenal right from the day one, and we would like to thank them for making this activity in the right frame of facilities and support in this beautiful NIAS campus. A special mention of thanks to Dr. V.S. Ramamurthy, who chaired the workshop advisory committee and gave many tips and suggestions. He was readily available for any discussion we have benefited from his advice. Thank you, sir. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Jack Dangermond, President ESRI, for making his time out and making the effort to send us a beautiful message and supporting C-SAG for this workshop by providing software and technical and other support. In particular, we would also thank Dr. Adel Bolbol Fernandez for his gracious presence and addressing the gathering. He too will be speaking today in a very good talk, which we'll look forward. The team of ESRI in India, led by Mr. Agendra Kumar and Mr. Rohit Singh, needs special mention because they addressed key topics on GIS tools and hands-on sessions in this workshop. The team of experts will be part of this workshop session and expose us to the world of analytics. Thanks to them. We remain Grateful to Tata Consultancy Service, yet another our associate, especially Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, COO, and other colleagues who are here from TCS. TCS has helped in the technical and organizational aspects so readily. The team of TCS we shall always be grateful to. We express our immense gratitude to our cloud partner, Amazon Web Service, who readily provided us high-end cloud product for the hands-on session. In fact, C-SAG team and AWS has worked hand in hand to ensure that all the hands-on session labs are operational in the C-SAG lab on the AWS cloud. We would like to acknowledge the support of Google for supporting and sponsoring the workshop and also providing tremendous technical support for some advanced topics in the workshop. Google team has contributed the key advanced topics of data science and analytics and help us understanding the Google efforts in mapping, satellite image analysis, and many other aspects. We thank them for all their support. We also have sponsorship of the weather company and IBM business. We would like to thank them. They have contributed the key topics of analytics in weather data and modeling, and we shall see some of the interesting topics from them. SkyMap Global has also sponsored the workshop and have provided some excellent technical inputs to the workshop. We would like to express our grateful thanks to them. A big shout out and high five to all the 59 enthusiastic participants for the workshop who are reason why we are all here. They walk shoulder to shoulder with us in making the milestone, and we shall jointly work for this with them in the next 10 days. Thanking each of you, we hope you will take back exceedingly technical insights and also fond memories of C-SAG. Thank you once again. This workshop would have not been possible but the excellent contribution of the expert faculty from India and abroad. All the 64 speakers who have great achievements and their knowledge and the spirit that was infectious to us and drove us. Thank you all of them. We thank Tata Trust for all the support to C-SAG and holding our little finger for past 2 years. We hope our journey will go a long way. Lastly, the team of C-SAG, the 21 experts led by Dr. Mukund Rao, deserves all the praise and thanks. Working for Rabi 2020 Agri-GIS Advisory and in parallel, shouldering the responsibility of the workshop has been an Atlantean endeavor. And I would like to specially thank each of them. Thanks team, we have the best task for the next 10 days. Spreading knowledge of what we have done in past 2 years. So here's a cheer. And special thanks to all the invitees and other guests for gracing this occasion. We also thank logistical support person who have helped us. Thank you one and all. Brace yourself for the 10 days of spatial analytics and deep learning. Thank you.